whole love for her. She had messages from her daughter. Those crushed her. They go from being worried to being mad at her for dying. So after reading that, she like wanted to go throw up. It was just so difficult for her to read those messages from her daughter. So then the stranger said to her, you haven't had a period and you've been here a month. So then Harry comes to the diner and says, Miss Turner, I have some bad news for you. So she just knew that they had found the body, and she was terrified because she's thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to prison for life. So they hadn't found the body, but apparently Michael's neighbor noticed that the generator was still running a lot longer than what it should have been and was worried, it was going to like blow up his home. So Lainey played it like a professional actress. She was like, I was just waiting for my phone to charge to give him a call. I'll call right now. And of course it goes to voicemail, and then she leaves this nice sweet message. Even Cody offers to help with the search. He's like, I have dogs. They'll help, let us know what you need. They had that thing down packed. I was like, dang. So Harry's like, we'll let you know if it comes down to that. We'll let you guys know. So then she sits down. She eats a little soup. She reads some of her messages. She responds to some of the people. Cody left to go get them a room to stay in town. And he had told her, we're going to have to leave. And she was like, I know. I'm sorry. But he was like, don't be. And so she's going to go. She decided she's going to go back to Seattle. She's going to go by herself just to kind of say goodbye to everyone. But not kind of say goodbye, not really say goodbye. So then they're eating, right? He has like a burger and fries. She's eating soup. She wants his fries. She goes to reach for it, and he's like, he knocked her hand away. He said, you didn't ask permission. And so, of course, he gets up to leave, and he was like, I have 14 fries. When I come back, there better be still 14 fries. She had the worst time trying not to eat these fries. But she didn't do it, and when he came back, he just threw them in the garbage. I was like, I guess it was just to teach her control. Oh well. So then they go upstairs, above the general store. That's where their room's going to be because they're going to stay in town. And she takes a pregnancy test. It comes back negative. She tells him, and he's like, we'll need to be more careful until we can, plan on having children. He told her to get like an IUD while she was back in Seattle. And in her brain, she's like, that's not how it works. You just can't walk in and get an IUD. You got to make appointments and stuff. But she was like, okay, whatever. So he asked her, if he can, was a little creepy. He asked her if he can put his hand around her throat and cut off her air supply for just a moment. And she's like, no, that'll scare me too much. And he was disappointed in that. So I think he likes that, what is it, exfoliation? I don't think I'm saying it right. Where you cut the air supply off for a moment and then you like whack off or something at the same time. It's supposed to be the most intense orgasm. I guess for a woman, you just rub one out or whatever, and it's supposed to be a super intense orgasm, like the best. The problem is you could die from it. So that's the only problem with that. So then they have a session in the shower. He asks her if she's gonna come back, and she says, of course, you're my everything. And he was like, I was just making sure because if you don't come, I'm going to come and find you. He's like, my life depends on you. That's some heavy stuff. Just saying. So she goes back to Seattle. Her girlfriend, Sammy, picks her up. The dynamic has really changed because she isn't as chatty as she used to be. She tells her friend, she's going back to Alaska. Her friend is like, are you sure? And she's like, yep. She showed her friend a pic of the stranger. And the Sammy girl was like, he is sex on a stick, but he looks familiar. And Lainey, of course, was like, there's no way you know who this is. And her friend was like, I'll figure it out eventually. So they go back to the apartment. She drinks wine, eats Chinese food. And one of her friends, who's a hairstylist, said something about her hair. It was kind of rude. Like, the girl been in like a whole wilderness for a month. And he said something kind of really snarky about her hair. And she was like, fuck you. And she went in her room, and then her friend Harrison comes in, and he's trying to fuck. And she's like, hell no. And she goes to see her daughter the next day, decides, she can't leave her again. She's like, she'll wait the 4 months for Dean to get out of jail, and then she'll go back to Alaska. So then she goes to see Dean, and they have like a heart to heart. We find out that her mother's not in prison. She's been speaking, and she even said her mother was in prison. The mother is not in prison. The mother is dead. And she has been dead since she was 18 years old. The mother offed herself and left a note saying that she was doing it because of Lainey. Ain't that some stuff? So Lainey just likes to create alternate realities in her mind, and she tells this stuff to people. Because while she was talking to Dean, Dean was like, because she'll talk about her like she's still present, but the woman's been dead. I'm like, oh my gosh. She even asked Dean about, like, with their situation, like, did he really love her? She even asked him, why did you stay with her? She was such a mean bitch. She was evil. Why did you stay with her? He said, she was supposed to be just a good time for a couple of months. He's like, but then when I met you and I saw how she treated you, I was afraid for you to be alone with her. And so I was like, I need to stay. And he was like, I never meant for it to ever go beyond that. He loved her like a daughter. She had gone into the room, and he's like, I could have told you no. I should have told you no. We should have never crossed that line. And her thing was, she did it because she was afraid that if, like, in other words, if the mother's gone, you're not going to still be my father. Like, I need to make you love me in a different way. That was why she did it, so she could keep him in her life. Not realizing that he had no intentions of not being her father anymore. He still wanted to be a part of her life in that capacity. But then once the sex got involved, then everything got changed and it got messed up. And she had asked him, do you think we could have still been together? And he said, I don't think I could have ever been okay with that, because I still feel extreme guilt. I don't regret our daughter, but I do feel extreme guilt about what happened between us, because it should have never happened. So that was her answer for that. She tells Dean, she's met someone. He, of course, is like, you need to spend some time to yourself, She was like, what are you talking about? It's been like 3 years. I don't think she hasn't gone 3 years without hookups. It's just 3 years, I think, since she's been in like a solid real relationship. So she leaves from Dean. She gets a phone call, unknown number. It's the stranger. He says, they found the body. You need to come back within the next day or two. And she's like, I'm coming back. So her friend Sammy is trying to like talk her out of leaving, and told her, she sounded like a woman that's brainwashed. Lainey's like, no, I found my real self there, and I just want to go back. So she packed most of her stuff. She doesn't need a lot. You gotta think, they're in the woods, so as much of her winter stuff she could take, she got that. The rest of the stuff, she told her, give it to Victoria, whoever else. Sammy, she keeps saying, I know I've seen his face before, but she still can't place it. So she gets back to Alaska. The stranger's waiting for her on the tarmac. She hugs him, and he tells her, never leave me again. She says, I won't. He tells her that he will take the fall for her, and that she needs to act like she's afraid of him, so that story will stick. That, if they don't make it out in time, since they're supposedly going to flee from here, if they don't make it out, like, that story will stick of him being controlling and things like that. So when they go in town and they go in the store, he's being very much like, no, you can't have that. Just talking to her crazy and making sure like the cashier hears and things like that. And the cashier was looking sideways like, damn, that is so effed up, So then it's too late for them to go back to the cabin. So then they're just going to stay again overnight right above the general store in a room. He had even bought like duct tape, condoms, rope, and even made a comment to the cashier about putting a woman in her place physically and stuff. Yeah, they really put on a show. So they go upstairs to the room. Lainey asked him, where did they find the body? And the stranger says, they didn't. I just told you that so you would come back. So Lainey is livid because she's like, I abandoned my daughter just to come back. And he's like, you abandoned her long before me. I said, oh shit. Well, damn. That hurt her. And he apologized and he says, I'm sorry, I just miss you so much, but I shouldn't have done that. I know I was wrong. And she liked that he was willing to go to these extreme lengths because this is how she operates. So Lainey is just happy that, someone's, the roles have reversed and now someone's doing the extremes to show her how they feel. She's mad, but she still loves that he did go to those lengths. So he's profusely apologizing to her and everything. And then I think he had like knocked her down on the bed. And he was saying all this sorry stuff to her, like while she's like, he's over her. And then she gets a text message from Sammy. And it says, whoever you're with, their name is not Cody Doyle. And she sent a pic of the real Cody Doyle and a pic of his wife, Stephanie. And so she asked the stranger, you told me your name was Cody. He said, no, I told you those were the names we would use. She said, so what the hell happened to them? And he was like, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you and me. And that's how the book goes out. I was like, oh my gosh. See, I was like, he is not Cody. I was like, he is still the stranger. So we get to go back to calling him stranger when we start the next book. So the next book and the final book in this series is called Expose. So I'm super excited to dive into that one because then we get all the answers to our questions. So that's going to be super good. Let me know what you guys think of Hide down in the comments. I liked it. It's a little, it's dark, but I do like that we're still like hanging on the edge of the seat trying to figure out who exactly is this man. Did he, off that couple? Like, what is really going on? So we're going to get all our answers next week. As always, I truly do thank you for your support. Make sure you like and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.